welcome to today's episode of the Beaute Industrie podcast, your online support community for the professional beauty industry, connecting you with educational pieces, innovative industry products, and inspiration from industry experts. I am your host, founding director of Beaute Industrie, Tamara Shaw. Today I would like to introduce to you a guest who is a little different in the best way possible from all of our other guests we normally speak with on the podcast. Today's guest is Beaute Industrie's first ever official employee, so we are so excited. Upon our discussion at the first Beaute Brunch event we hosted in Melbourne, there were lots of questions from business owners and recruiters about the way we employ therapists, their drive, passion, thoughts, amongst many other things. So I thought we really do need to hear it from the therapist's mouth and have a therapist tell their story. So today is a raw conversation that should provide you some insight into the therapist's brain and help you as a therapist if you're out there in the treatment rooms, or help you as a business owner to better connect with your employees. I would like to introduce to you all our Beaute Industrie resident therapist, Brooke Harris.
Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for jumping on and joining us today.
You're very welcome.
So, Brooke, tell us how and when you first decided to join the beauty industry.
I decided to join the beauty industry in 2015, mainly after my very first makeup application at Napoleon. So it really started a passion for me, mainly because I wanted someone to feel as nice as I felt on that day. And that was really the beginning of me entering the beauty industry.
Yeah, amazing. So you had that experience yourself, and then you decided to jump straight into your beauty qualification.
Yeah, so it started out with just wanting to do a makeup course, and I spoke to the work counsellor at school at the time, and I was like, this is what I want to do. And she said, I think you'd be so much better to do a beauty course. And I was like, oh, okay. Not knowing really where to do that, we looked at a couple of places, and Ali Lucas was one of those places for me that really jumped out. So that's exactly where I went, knowing that that was the passion that I had. And they also had that passion as well to see their students succeed. So that was exactly where I went.
Yeah, amazing. And so once you had qualified from Ali Lucas and you'd finished all of your studies and you entered into the industry as a working therapist, did you find it hard to get a job without having experience? Because I hear a lot of therapists say that is like, Tamara, I'm going for all of these interviews and they want experience, but how can I get experience if I can't get a job?
Oh, that was actually one of the hardest things I found. So it was a level of continuously calling people and continuously putting in my resume to a stack of places that didn't necessarily ever get back to me. So one thing that I noticed in particular in the industry is that I did actually have my age on my resume. And I think that was something that people underestimated as well. So first thing I did was took my age off my resume. I don't even know why it was on there, but I thought I have to take this off. But I also knew in myself that I had a standard. So I knew that I had to work for someone that wanted the same things as I did. So it was setting a goal. So I knew that I wanted to work for a really large franchise, and I knew that I wanted it to be everything that I would want. So however my mum would be treated was where I wanted to work. If that makes any sense.
Amazing. And so when you came into the industry and you had your first job, did you find it daunting as, you know, you've just finished your studies, going into looking at this huge treatment menu and so many product ranges on the shelf? Was that a scary moment for you?
It was horrifying. So it was really hard to learn and know the ins and outs of a treatment menu, but also a product, because you're kind of expected to know it day one. You get a little bit of leniency, but you are still expected to know. So I did find that really hard, especially knowing the reactions that different things can cause with something that was completely new to me entering this industry.
And so you're a self-studier, and I have seen your notebook full of skin concerns and treatment protocols, and you've taken and, you know, you've created after every single class. Where for you does that passion come from?
I am a huge nerd, but my passion comes from the need to know. I have to know why things happen. So if you mentioned something to me about the skin going red, I'd have to know why it went red. Was it because of the product that I used, or was it because her skin reacted that way? Or it's really knowing that why for me, and I always had to expand that. It was always a case of needing to reflect back on notes that needed to be taken, really.
And so what makes you, like, where does your passion come from? You know, so the difference between you being an employee of mine and another therapist who might stand next to you who, you know, might think, why didn't I get that role? What do you think is that difference?
I think the difference, and it's quite hard to explain, but I think the difference is the drive. So what drives that therapist? So for me, it's knowing that my client's left happy, and it's knowing that why. I think that's what separates the difference between different therapists. So the difference between me and someone else is that needing to know why and wanting to make that change and wanting to communicate the mistakes that I've made, wanting to communicate where I'm going next. So I think that's what differs for me, is I'm always setting a new challenge.
And so in your opinion, do you think there's a particular reason why a therapist might lose their passion for the industry? Because sometimes, you know, I'll see a therapist and they've just entered into the business. They're so excited to be there. They are coming to every class. They're writing down all the notes. And then it's like a flick just switches. And then they go, no, tomorrow I don't know if I want to be in this industry anymore. I'm thinking about studying nursing, thinking about doing PT. Like, what, you know, can you just give us some insight, in your opinion, maybe even some of your friends, as why or where that passion goes?
I have been struggling with this one myself. I've been asking all my therapists myself, why do you lose this drive? And I'm not sure if it's because of the lack of communication between staff and owner. I'm not sure if it's because, or like, there could be a level of disorganization and they have to know where they're going next, what they're doing next. I'm still yet to find that. I think sometimes a therapist gets bored, and I'm not sure if it's because they're not challenging themselves, or maybe they're not getting that challenge there as well. So that is something that I'm trying to find out myself, because I don't understand why they lose the passion. I think, like I said, it's that communication, and sometimes a clientele can really dampen how a therapist feels about themselves as well. And I've noticed that where I work a lot, that the therapists sometimes forget they are the professional.
Yeah.
They know.
Yeah. And so it's probably, there might be like two different levels of a loss of passion. So maybe there is like a day-to-day or even like an hour-to-hour, depending on what kind of client you've got. And then there is like, okay, now I'm actually thinking about not being in the beauty industry at all. Do you think, obviously, from day to day or hour to hour, that's easy to re-inspire a therapist? But do you think once someone gets to, okay, I don't want to be in the industry at all, we can re-inspire them from that point?
I think the hour to hour and the day to day to re-inspire is so much easier. I think the therapist has to want to be motivated and re-inspired themselves. And I think that's the problem as well. Because once you lose that spark, it is so hard to gain it back. So one thing that I'm trying in my clinic is really trying to acknowledge maybe the really good outcomes that they've had with their clients. So if they've had a mistake with their skin, okay, they've had a mistake, but what did you do that was good as well in that? Because you've learned, okay, let's not mix those two products together because this is the reaction that you're going to cause. But they see as well that you've acknowledged that they've tried something new. And I think we always have to encourage the mistakes as well. And I think that's something that people forget, is that mistakes should be encouraged. We have to learn.
Yeah, 100%. And so I'm interested to hear this next question. In your opinion, what do you think makes a great manager or a great business owner?
So once again, this is something that I've been researching non-stop. I've been calling other clinics. I've been talking to everyone. I have to know. So I think something that makes a great manager is something that you have to be proactive. You have to be on top of the mistakes or the problems that are going on in the workplace, because I feel like if you put it off and you just ignore it, the problem just gets so much worse. And one thing I have noticed is if you're not dealing with it face on, 9 times out of 10 you just ignore it. And I think keeping in contact with the clients that are having these problems, or a client that is new to the whole beauty side of their day-to-day activity, if that's the right way to put it, is something that's important. Some people have never been pampered or treated nicely, and I think that's something that we always have to do, is just remember that we started somewhere as well. So making sure that you're acknowledging the client, but making sure that you're acknowledging the therapist as well. So always knowing how they feel, because I think one thing we forget is, how does your therapist feel? If they're having a bad day, that's going to pass on to all the other therapists. So I think sometimes we have to remember to leave our problems at the door, but also acknowledge that our therapists do have bad days as well. So I think knowing their bad day and trying to make it better works well as well.
Yeah. And can you give me an example, not any specific names or businesses or anything like that, but, of something that in the past a manager or a business owner hasn't done well and that has really torn the team apart, so that if anyone is listening to it and they are a manager or a business owner, they can think, okay, I'm in that situation now, I can identify that now, I need to get out.
Yeah, so I think one thing that an owner or a manager can do, and it's the worst thing they can do, is not acknowledging the positives. I think we focus and we harp so much on those negative things that happen that we do forget that there's a lot of positive as well. So yes, we had a bad experience maybe 15 minutes ago, but what happened the hour before that was positive? Making sure that you are organized and being open to change as well. A lot of therapists have different backgrounds as well, and taking on board their ideas is something that they really do love. So if they had a diary that worked well out the front, maybe that's something that your business could really use.
Yeah. I think, being in business, being a manager and a director in the past, therapists have said to me that they responded best when I did something. So if I was asking, why haven't we hit our sales today? And then I went out the front and I said, watch this. And then I was able to convert that client into, pre-purchasing 6 treatments, or if I was able to sell $1,000 in products, then the therapist would go, oh, okay, well, she has merit to actually ask me about my sales. But do you think it's a difficult task when a business owner or a manager is constantly saying, why haven't you hit your targets? Why haven't you hit your targets? And you've never seen them do it themselves?
Yeah, I think that's something that we do forget. So making sure that it's a bit like monkey see, monkey do. If you're working hard, your therapists want to work hard. I feel like if they see you slacking off out the back, drinking coffee, having a laugh, what incentive does your therapist have to work hard as well?
Yeah. And so a difficult question here, but what does the therapist want? It's like asking a man asking, what does a woman want? Like there's endless answers, but like, is it flexible hours? Is it recognition? Do you want more training? Do you want team dinners? Do you want to finish early? Do you want free treatments? Like, what makes a therapist the most happy at work?
I think, as we touched on before, definitely acknowledging. all my therapists, I don't know what it is, but they love an early finish, but they also love education. So they love to go home early if it's rewarded and it's deserved, but they also love to learn. They love to know the whys, just like me. And a lot of them do go home and they go to a lot of seminars about like maybe gut health. They go to those things because they want to learn. They want to give their clients the best outcome. So I think definitely educating and encouraging that education with your therapist is something that they really love. If you know that they're passionate about, gut health, because a lot of their acne clients are having problems with their stomachs, maybe sending them or encouraging them and letting them know of those seminars is a really good, positive, proactive way for a therapist to be re-engaged, re-inspired even.
Yeah. If you could speak with any business owner who runs a business in the beauty industry, who's having trouble with their staff, what is something that they could do today, like in the next hour? What is something that would, really amplify their beauty therapist, get them back on board and make people happy in their business again?
I would tell them to call a meeting as soon as possible, whether that's a one-on-one or whether that's as a team. That's something that you'd have to think about, because I think something's missing in the dynamics. So your team might be feeling like it's disorganized, or they might be feeling unhappy because of something that was said maybe 6 months ago. It's just really knowing what it is going through your therapist's mind.
Yeah. Do you think it's important to, create a culture in the business where therapists feel like even if it's good or bad, they can, be comfortable with the manager and the business owner? Or do you think there should be a level of professionalism where the therapist should kind of deal with most things on their own, and if it's really important, then come to the business owner or manager?
No, I think it's really, really important to discuss those things, like whether it be negative or positive. I think the second that a business owner or a manager knows about it, they can help the therapist get through it, so they can encourage that learning there as well. Because I know I've made mistakes and I've been too scared to say anything about it, and I couldn't talk to my owner or a manager about it, and I've just let it go to the point where it's escalated, and now I have to talk about it, but I don't know how to, if you know that what I'm saying. So you get to that point where your problem is so much bigger because you didn't feel like you had someone to talk to.
Yeah. And it's kind of like, I always liken it to a bowl of fruit with a rotten peach. Like that peach is going to make every single other piece of fruit in that fruit bowl rotten and moldy as well. So you kind of have to take that peach out. You have to extract that from the situation and deal with all of the other fruit before that goes moldy.
Oh, definitely. You definitely have to deal with that peach. Whether that be in a one-on-one conversation, oh, you've made that mistake, but this is how we're going to better it, and this is how we're going to fix it. Because if that therapist knows that that's all they had to do to fix that problem, I think it's less likely to happen again, because they've made the mistake, they've seen what happens, but they need to know how to recover from it as well. Because mistakes do happen, unfortunately, but it's more so how it's dealt with. If if a manager or a owner has dealt with it negatively in the past, even with another therapist, what would make the therapist that's done something wrong want to tell them again that something's happened?
Yeah, for sure. And so in a bit more of a positive light, can you tell us or describe a time where a manager or a business owner has done something really well, whether that be, directly to you or indirectly, and it's just changed the whole team's mentality?
Yeah, definitely. I think one thing we did is everyone put in a box what they were working towards. And it's worked so well because we hung it up and it was anonymous. Some people wanted to work towards lips. Some people wanted to work towards a day off. And it's worked so positively in our work environment because everybody knows what they're working towards. But because the manager and the boss wanted to see them work, having it put up on the wall was a good thing.
Yeah.
And it was communicated well.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Brooke, for joining us today. I'm sure a lot of business owners are going to get off this call and think, right, I need to have a meeting. I need to find out what my therapists want, how I can incentivize them, and kind of open those communication channels. And that's really what the whole Beaute Industrie community is just figuring out how we can support everyone in their travels and, help them in their business so that they are not feeling alone.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's really important. Really important.
So Brooke will be contributing to all of the conversation that happens on The Conversation, our online forum on the Beaute Industrie website, and also our Facebook page. So she will be giving you all of the tips and tricks and insights from the therapist's mouth. Brooke is also going to be a speaker at our next Beaute Brunch event on the 2nd of December, Beaute Brunchmas, which is all about the therapist this time. So we have some really incredible speakers such as Jessica Mendez from the Therapist Co. and Kylie Ann from Solution Creator, and we are chatting all things therapist. So if you want to contact Brooke, you can do via the via the website, on the chat function or the Facebook page. But as always, if you have enjoyed today's podcast, please make sure you subscribe to our channel and give us a little 5-star rating or make a comment. I mean, I love reading all of your reviews. Don't forget to follow us on all of the social channels and jump on the website and make yourself a member profile if you haven't already. Until next time, stay connected. Thank you for tuning in to episode 23 of the Beaute Industrie podcast. Next week for episode 24, we talk portable treatment rooms and how you can get one in your backyard with Carla Preston of Beaute in a Box Co. Until next time, stay connected.